from Austria-Hungary. So I'm very much looking forward to this presentation, which will deepen my understanding and which will be forward-looking. My presentation wasn't really forward-looking. My article wasn't really forward-looking. I was trying to familiarize people with the background and the many changes which Ukraine has gone through in the course of history, going back to the Polish-Lithuanian Empire, or Commonwealth as it was called, and going also through the history of Galicia as part of Austria and the subsequent history, including the Second World War. So that's my interest in the matter, and now I shut up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's an honor that you will be you are joining my talk, my today's talk, and hopefully that I will bring some, new glance on the topic, new view on the topic.
Okay. Thank you. How do I switch this myself off?
I can.
You can do that. Yes, just switch.
I can help you with that. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Natalia, I cannot do that because I'm not the host. Could you please do that? Can you please turn off the microphone of Andreas? Yeah. Oh, it's done. Yeah, thank you. All right, so let me start. Let me begin. Yeah. And now participants online also can see my presentation. So I will start from the introduction. And my name is Ivan Balikin. I am a research associate at the chair of contemporary history at the University of Mannheim, where I teach and design courses on Ukrainian history, culture, politics, and law, including innovative formats integrating virtual reality and gamification. So I'm all into the innovative teaching formats also. I also serve as a guest professor at the Karlsruhe Institut für Technologie, where I also teach in my direction. So it's somewhere in between in the collaboration of history, law, culture, and political studies. Also, I was and still involved in the researches in the social studies. So I, throughout my career, I promote interdisciplinary approach. Well, at least in social studies and humanities, I'm a classical humanitarian person. My research focuses, at the moment research, so up-to-date research, focuses on the memory politics, digital narratives, and ideological transformations, and how they are formed, built, evolve, how they develop, and how they influence societies in social media. So with different social medias, how narratives, especially historical narratives, how they not only reflect, design what to remember and what to forget, but also how all of these influence our future. Alongside to my academic work, I also am a co-founder and coordinator of the NGO Progressylny. It's a community of Ukrainian higher education educators where we develop large-scale digital and AI-based training initiatives. And recently, we've conducted the big masterclass on the AI in education. So this is pretty much it. So if you would like to get in touch, stay in touch, reach out. So you can see my contacts on the first and second slides. And also, I would like to thank, of course, the institutions and people who are hosting me today and on Thursday here in Bratislava. Thank you very much to Spectra Center of Excellence EU at the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava, the thematic group Transboundary Planning and Governance of Association of European Schools of Planning and Embassy of Ukraine in Slovak Republic, and especially and personally Associated Professor, Doctor of Science, Natalia Yegorchenkova. Thank you very much. This is Dr. Yegorchenkova. She is present with us today here offline. So yeah, and let's talk about Ukraine. And as you see, I am historian, lawyer, and I will be talking today about the regional development considering Ukrainian path of Eurointegration, which is for some people could be unexpected. And as you can see here, my first slide of actual lecture is like the regions, historical, geographical regions of modern day Ukraine. And here we can see the western part of Ukraine, central part, eastern part, and southern part of Ukraine. And of course, once again, I'm always, like repeating that Ukraine is the biggest part, of course, considering all the war going on, but constitutionally, Ukraine and de jure, Ukraine is the biggest state in Europe. And for start, it's very good to understand this fact. And the political dialogue or between the European Union and Ukraine began in 1994, when the Partnership and Cooperation Agreement was signed. And this is also quite unexpected and not very well known fact about the Eurointegrational processes of independent Ukraine. So it didn't start in 2022. It didn't start even in 2013. It has started from 1994 with the Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. And this partnership and cooperation agreement between the European communities and their member states and Ukraine. This document focused on economic and social issues, as well as on the need to improve public administration and guarantee a free press and civil rights. Signed on the 16th of June 1994 and ratified by the law of Ukraine, dated the 10th of November 1994. This was the first agreement signed by the EU with the countries of the former Soviet Union. Once again, I think, well, it could mean something, it could not mean something, but from my perspective, it's also quite symbolical that Ukraine was the first, maybe naturally, logically, or whatsoever reason, but Ukraine was the first country of post-Soviet or former Soviet republics who signed this kind of agreement with the European Union. And on the 19th of October 1995, Ukraine officially joined the Council of Europe. The Council of Europe is an international organization that promotes cooperation between all European countries in the field of legal standards, human rights, democratic development, legality and cultural interactions. And Ukraine, of course, is a member of the EU Eastern Partnership initiative, the funding summit of which was held on the 7th of May 2009 in Prague, in Czech Republic. And Ukraine is one of the 6 post-Soviet states: Ukraine, Moldova, Belarus, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. I have pronounced it right, that are proposed to cooperate with the EU within the framework of the new multilateral framework that is expected to be created by the Eastern Partnership. On the 28th of June 2021, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Belarus informed the parliament representative of the EU in Belarus, Dirk Schubel, about measures in response to the sanctions adopted by the EU, including the suspension of Belarus participation in the Eastern Partnership. So you can, like visually imagine this slide, like without Belarus, but it was, so to say, the proclamation, but de jure, legally, Belarus is still there. And of course, we can discuss about the strength of these agreements that were made before 2022. I will go to this later, but de jure, legally, these agreements are still in force, and Ukraine is also in the European Union community countries. They're also following these agreements. Regarding also the Eurointegration cooperation and other ways of evolving and deepening our relations of Ukraine and the European Union countries, of course, is visa-free regime between Ukraine and the European Union. It is a status that follows citizens of Ukraine to freely cross the interstate borders of the countries of the European Union without prior application to the embassy for permission, starting from the 11th of June 2017. Yeah, we call it in Ukraine, we call it bezviz. So visa-less or without visa or visa-free regime. And for 90 days, the citizens of Ukraine can freely travel throughout the member states of the European Union. Another step towards, let's say, next step, one of the next steps of the Eurointegration processes were the amendments to the Constitution of Ukraine. And on the 7th of February 2019, the law of Ukraine on amendments to the Constitution of Ukraine regarding the state's strategic course towards full membership of Ukraine in the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Article 85, Article 102, and Article 116 of the Constitution of Ukraine were introduced, let's say, to the Constitution of Ukraine. As you can see, this article on the constitutional level, they, let's say, legally fix the orientation or the vector of the development of the Ukrainian state and Ukrainian society. And I have highlighted that in bold schrift letters. So the full membership of Ukraine in the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. As you can see, 3 representatives of the higher managerial apparatus or representatives or institutions in Ukraine Верховна Rada, Parliament of Ukraine, Cabinet Ministrів, Cabinet of Ministers, the government of Ukraine, and the President of Ukraine. They have the obligation to follow this vector, political vector of Ukraine. And the catalyst of Ukraine's European integration was the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. And on the 28th of March, the 5th day of Russian full-scale invasion, President Volodymyr Zelensky signed an application to join the European Union. The signing took place against the background of barricades and trenches erected in a connection with the full-scale invasion. And here you can see maybe some of Ukrainian representatives can at least guess or remember who are these people on the slides. Yeah, wild guesses. Okay, the person in the middle, who is he? A President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Okay, the person who is on his left hand with the glasses. At least his position, or yeah, he is the former Prime Minister of Ukraine. And the person on the right hand from our president is the head of Verkhovna Rada, so the Parliament of Ukraine. And if I will switch to the previous slide, which is also, you know, like very organical. So those three people are following the constitution. On the 18th of April 2022, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, handed over the first part of the questionnaire for obtaining the status of a candidate for EU membership to the head of the European Union representation in Ukraine, Mata Maasikas. 18th of April. It was on the 18th of April. And then on the 9th of May, the same year, Ukraine filled out the second part of the questionnaire. And I can say that this is not that kind of questionnaire that, you know, even students go through. It's a very, very thorough and very big document. And as you can see on the slide, part 2, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is some kind of questionnaire. And as you can see, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, is really happy about that. He is satisfied that this second part, was fulfilled and handed over on the 9th of May. And then on the 17th of June 2022, the European Commission recommended that the European Council grant Ukraine the status of a candidate for accession to the European Union. So you can see that it was really brief, fast, very quick, unprecedentedly quick process, which nevertheless, it is still going on. The process is still going on. Yeah, you have a question, yeah?
Yes. Start before.
Oh, this is a very good question. Well, I will start my answer with, I don't know the exact answer why these specific dates were designed to be the dates of signing and application of applying and then sign the first part and the second part of application. But I would like to emphasize on that the process of Ukrainian-European Union relations, they have started long time ago, and there was not such a gap between or absence of Eurointegrational aspirations of Ukraine. Maybe this kind of image that it has started in 2022 is The consequence is that in the countries of European Union citizens, the war has started in 2022. But as a person who was born in Donetsk, who studied in Donetsk, and who was forced to flee Donetsk in 2014, I know that I am the person. I know that the war has started in 2014. So my assumption is that the news channels, different kind of channels of social media and official channels, they decided to avoid this topic. They decided not to let the people be aware what is going on. And then, of course, in 2022, all of the news were proclaiming that the war has started. The war has started. So it's a really hard question. Thank you very much for asking that question. This is my answer. You know, I don't know on which level you are satisfied by it, but you know, yeah, we can discuss on that later. Yeah, thank you. And continuing to the second part of the topic of today's meeting is the regional development of Ukraine. Does anybody know the origin or the situation during which this picture was made in the White House in the United States of America, the Washington, D.C.? While you are thinking, I would like to say that an oblast, you see that I am using the apostrophe there. It's to soften, so it's not oblast, but it's oblast. An oblast in Ukraine, sometimes translated as region, but it's not quite the same thing. Or province, which is not also the correct translation, is the main type of first-level administrative division of the Ukraine, of the country. And Ukraine's territory is divided into 24 oblasts, as well as one autonomous republic and 2 cities with special status. Do you know, the second question is, do you know which are those cities with this special constitutional status, special administrative status? Kyiv as a capital city, right? Okay, you're right. 50% is or are done. And the second part, the second city with a special status?
Sevastopol.
Yeah, you're right. Sevastopol in Crimea, in Autonomous Republic of Crimea. Ukraine is a unitary state. Thus, the oblasts do not have much legal scope of competence other than that which is established in the Ukrainian constitution and devolved by law. And from Article 140 up till Article 146, Chapter 11 of the Constitution, deal directly with the local authority and their competence in Ukraine. Oblasts are divided into rayons. Each oblast having from 3 to 8 rayons, following the reform of July 2020, but I will go to that a little bit later. So, any guesses what is this picture from which event? Who are these people sitting backwards to us, showing their backs?
Maybe this is from when US and Europe has begun planning security guarantees for Ukraine after the war.
Recently, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are the European leaders of major European countries. Ursula von der Leyen, you can see in the pink, sorry, I know that it's not pink, but in this colored jacket. And on the left hand, so the person here, who is he? The head of North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right? Do you recognize him? No? And do you recognize the person who is right next to him here? This is Volodymyr Zelensky. So then the president of Finland, yeah, you can see Friedrich Merz there, right? Next to Ursula von der Leyen. So these are the people, the highest position of the European Union as very peculiar, unique unionship or organization of nations, and theorists of law, they cannot decide what is the European Union at the moment. Is it still the collection of independent nations, or it has started to become into some sort of new form of federacy? Yeah, with the development of the institutions of the European Union. But once again, it's a very discussional question, very interesting to discuss on that. But please, pay it in your mind, leave it in your mind for later overthinking, thinking about that. And you can see, of course, Donald J. Trump sitting in his chair. And on the left side, on the right side of this slide, of this picture, of this photo, we can see the map of Ukraine. I was thinking what kind of map should I use today? And I have decided to use this one. And as you can see with the pink paint, there are occupied territories. And maybe you remember when Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky later, after this conversation, they were discussing on territorial question regarding the war, regarding the military conflict. And Donald Trump tried to persuade Volodymyr Zelensky about some decisions about the administrative system and about the territorial status of Ukraine. But we are continuing. So in Ukraine, the term oblast denotes a primary administrative division. Under the Russian Empire and into the 1920s, Ukraine was divided between several governorates. The term oblast was introduced in 1932 by Soviet authorities when the Ukrainian SSR was divided into 7 oblasts, replacing the previous subdivision system based on okrugas and encompassing 406 rayons or districts. And of course, you don't have to remember it, but I want you to also to acknowledge the historical background. Of course, at the moment we are seeing the modern administrative division of Ukraine, of course. And most of Ukraine's oblasts are named after their representative administrative centers, which are also the largest and most developed cities in the oblast itself. And also on this map, you can see the name of the center city of oblast and the name of oblast itself. Most of oblasts are named after their cities, but oblast populations range from under 1 million, like 904,000 in Chernivtsi Oblast, and for example 4.4 million in eastern Donetsk Oblast. But at the moment, regarding the military actions, regarding the war and displacement of people, of institutions, it's quite hard to say for sure how the how people, yeah, how people are living in Ukraine, how they are how it develops. Each of Ukraine's oblast has its own legislative and executive authority, most of which is subordinate to the central government authorities in Kyiv. Each oblast is administered under laws passed by the Ukrainian government and the Constitution of Ukraine. Each region, each oblast levies its own taxes, and in return receives a portion of its budget from Kyiv, which gives them a portion of the taxes in levies. Executive power in each of the oblast, as well as in other subdivisions of Ukraine, is exercised by the local elected administrations. The heads of local administrations are in turn appointed and dismissed by the President of Ukraine upon nomination by the Cabinet of Ministers. Since Ukraine is a unitary state, there is little true political power and weight that those local administrations actually hold. And carrying out their authority, the heads of local administrations are accountable to the president and are subordinate to higher bodies of executive leadership. According to the constitution, the head of the local oblast administrations should resign after a new president is elected. Legislative power in oblast government is exercised by the respective oblast council, which in turn supervise the activities of local administrations. They also have considerable budgets managed by an oblast council, oblastna rada in Ukrainian language, made up of people's deputies or representatives voted into office in regional elections every 4 years, the last of which took place in 2020. So the name, I wanted to mention that earlier, so the name of each oblast is a relative adjective formed by adding a feminative suffix to the name of respective center city. For example, I hope that you can see it from here. For example, Poltava is a center of Poltavska Oblast, or Poltava Oblast in English. Most of them are also sometimes referred to in a feminine noun form, following the convention of traditional region place names, ending with the suffix shchina. For example, Poltava, Poltavska Oblast is also called Poltavshchina. Exceptions to this rule include two oblasts, Volyn and Zakarpattia. Pay attention to the western part of Ukraine, Volyn and Zakarpattia. Zakarpattia is the most western part of Ukraine, which retain the names of their respective historical regions, Volyn or Volynia and Zakarpattia or Transcarpathia. Those respective capitals are Lutsk in Volyn and Uzhhorod in Zakarpattia. Also, the capital cities of the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, the center of Ukraine, and Kirovohrad Oblast, also the center of Ukraine, were renamed to Dnipro and Kropivnitsky. So formerly in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, the main city was Dnipropetrovsk, and at the moment it is renamed to Dnipro. And formerly Kirovohrad was the center of Kirovohradska Oblast, but at the moment Kirovohrad is renamed to Kropivnitsky. And this was made in 2016 as part of a process of replacing Soviet toponyms As the names of the oblasts are mentioned in the Ukrainian constitution, changing them requires a complicated, really complicated and a lengthy process. And thus, as of 2017, the two oblasts still formally retain their Soviet names, because it's I will simplify it. So it's less complicated to rename the city than the whole oblast, because oblasts, the names of oblasts are the part of the constitution of Ukraine, and it demands more heavier work in the parliament of Ukraine. So this is like basics. But regarding the administrative system of Ukraine, those people who can read Cyrillic, they can read that here we can read «Децентралізація дає можливості». So the decentralization gives opportunities. The process of decentralization in Ukraine is a series of reforms to give additional power and resources to local authorities. This process was intended to advance regional development and border reform. Successful steps have been taken, and it was also, when it was done in 2014, it was done quite a long time ago. It was acknowledged by Angela Merkel and other European politicians that these steps are forward Eurointegration, because this reform gives more opportunities to regions themselves. It decentralizes the central power. Which gives strong regional economy. So the consequences of this is strong regional economy. The decentralization reform had the following provisions when it started: strengthen local government, change administrative territorial structure, consolidate the principle of omnipresence. Local governments are defined by lands on the territory of settlements. Empower local government with sufficient powers and resources. Reflect historical, economic, and environmental and cultural characteristics when planning the development of united territorial communities. United territorial communities. So those were and are designed to be the backbone of this reform and the modern territorial division, administrative division of Ukraine. And of course, the transfer roles that local governments can perform to local authorities, which allows also to make the budgets of not oblasts, but regions more independent from the national budget. The reform consists of three key components: reform of the territorial organization of power, reform of local self-government, and reform of regional policy. After Ukraine gained independence in 1991, the state increased local regional government powers. And in 1997, Ukraine ratified the European Charter of Local Self-Government and adopted regulatory acts that established such powers. However, discussions concerning large scale of organization as a rule concern the distribution of powers at the national level. And this is very tricky, especially during the times of war, during the war, because the whole structure of the state should be strong to face the enemy, to face the threat, which makes the finishing or accomplishing the decentralization reform very, very entangled, complicated. Following Euromaidan in 2014, the new government launched a national project decentralization, национальный проект децентрализация, on the 1st of April of 2014. And the government of Volodymyr Groysman, the head of the government, Prime Minister of Ukraine, identified support for decentralization as one of its priorities. Was in 2014. During the reform, local budget revenues grew from 68.6 billion hryvnias. Hryvnia is the national currency of Ukraine. In 2014 to 146.6 billion hryvnias in 2016. So the improvements were felt. People can see them. By the end of 2017, local budget revenues had reached up to 170.7 billion hryvnias. In addition, amalgamated hromadas, so these communities, local communities, became more active in the process of budget formation. And during the first 10 months of 2017, amalgamated hromadas, okay, I will say it in Ukrainian because we have a Ukrainian audience, об'єднані територіальні громади, OTG. So these hromadas increased their own revenues by 80%. So the increase of the consequences, positive consequences of reform were felt, while national revenues grew by only 31.8%. In addition, per capita, development expenditures in January-September 2017 increased by 225% compared to 2016. For example, in communities without these unified or amalgamated hromadas, unified communes, let's say, growth was only 50%. And from 2014 to 2017, state support for the development of amalgamated hromadas and their infrastructure increased from 0.5 billion hryvnias up to 14.9 billion hryvnias. Donor agencies, embassies, and multilateral organizations are financing and implementing programs and decentralization projects via a donor board for this reform. And as you can see, so yeah, if to compare these two slides that we can see. So if to compare, so on the left side of the slide, you can see how it was. And on the right side of the slide, you can see how it is. So the new system of administrative territorial system of basis level. So rayony. And these councils, so amalgamated councils or communities. So previously, before the engaging of the reform, there were 11,250. And afterwards, you can see that the number of this OTG, об'єднані територіальні громади, is 1,470. So we can see that they became bigger. Yeah, right? And this is also the new system of rayon. So yeah, there were these local communities. Yeah, and here we can see rayons. So previously, before the reform, there were 490 rayons, and afterwards, 136. So once again, we can see that the administrative system of Ukraine is changing, and it was changing, let's say, dramatically, at least rapidly, during between 2014 and 2017, 19, 20. If to continue our talk about the regional development, so not only the Eurointegration aspirations of Ukraine and the official candidate status of the Ukrainian state, the administrative system of Ukraine, I hope that I have shown you, this evolution of administrative system of Ukraine throughout 20th and the 21st centuries, and the reform of the administrative division system of Ukraine on national and regional within the state level. We can also speak about the regional development cooperation programs outside the EU. So have you heard of it, or maybe not? That the European Union has several programs, even policies regarding the regional development within the European Union, but also, as long as Ukraine is not yet the member of the European Union, I decided to include this part of in the topic today. So the European territorial cooperation external dimension promotes sustainable development and good neighborly relations between EU member states and enlargement and neighborhood countries, and between the EU's outermost regions and their neighborhoods. And here you can see two regions, Black Sea region and Mediterranean region. And yeah, the EU supports territorial cooperation among member states and non-EU countries from East and South neighborhood regions. Following the Russian military aggression against Ukraine and in line with the EU restrictive measures, the Commission is suspending the cooperation with Russia and Belarus in the European Neighborhood Instruments cross-border cooperation programs. So ENI-CBC. So this is the abbreviature of this program. And as you can see, Ukraine, or at least southern part of Ukraine, is included into the Black Sea Basin or Regional Development Cooperation Program outside the EU. I hope that, yeah, I enlightened something, regarding the European integration process of Ukraine and the regional development, not only of Ukraine, but also regional development of European Union and Ukraine. I have finished my presentation for today. Do you have any questions?
Maybe why those are specifically of Ukraine? Are those like a specific
So
those are those the oblasts like?
I will return the slide. Yeah. Just a moment. I will share the slide also with online audience. Why this region? So the regions of Odessa, Mykolaiv, Kherson, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and part, I guess, of Donetsk Oblast. I can only maybe guess, why especially these regions, but these regions are the regions of intensive agricultural activities. So these regions with the very fertile soil, and they are the most fertile in the world. So these territories of Ukraine are the most fertile territories, not only in Ukraine, not only in the European Union, but in the whole wide world. And there are lots and lots of interesting stories in the middle of 20th century about the soil of Ukraine and other later European countries. So, of course, my continuing answering your question. So the major question is how to feed the population of the European Union. This is the first, and this is the most of the major questions, how to feed the population. As Romans told, people or plebs needs bread and entertainment. So the bread is initial for surviving and for good quality of life. And of course, this is the interest of the European Union as well. But this is, once again, this is very, very entangled process, while the Eurointegrational processes of Ukraine, and especially including these agricultural regions, they are not so simple as they can appear from the first sight, because the member states of the European Union who have also very developed agricultural regions, they expect that newly incorporated territories of Ukraine with developed agriculture can be very competitive to them, which will bring at least new economical dynamics within the European Union. So this is, Pani Olga, thank you very much for being a part of this presentation as well. But once again, I'm also interested, so what are your guesses? What is your explanation for that?
Sure, so that's I asked.
Yeah, we can discuss on that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I just wondered that those were the closest on the street to the sea, and I was wondering whether are those the whole regions or only to the certain part, and that's why I asked.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that question. At the moment, I had another highlight, another idea, is that while this is the Black Sea region, until nowadays, from the times of antiquity, from ancient Greece, maritime trade still is the most, has the biggest part in the whole world or global trading. And of course, you can see that on the southern parts of Ukraine, there are several ports with at least regional importance, and some of them also, are pretty important for global maritime trading as well.
Further to this discussion, if I may, can you understand me? Yeah, okay. Well, I would be interested to hear more about the international companies that are into agriculture in the Black Earth area. I understand that there's even a Saudi company that is producing agricultural products there and exporting. Am I correct in yeah, okay. I mean, I'm very well aware of the importance of the Black Earth, even in the 19th century and before that. And it's one of the assets, of course, of Ukraine. So I'm interested that there's already international interest in this area and international companies. Yeah? And I have another question later on, but just interested to hear the answer to this one.
I will be pretty frank with you. Thank you very much for this question, but I'm not an expert, so I can only speculate on that, but I don't have the figures and the data to answer your question. But regarding and remembering that, regarding your question, I can remember that even Muammar Gaddafi was visiting Ukraine on the when the President Yushchenko was in power, and Muammar Gaddafi also concluded some. I don't remember if I would prepare for this lecture. Like in this part better, I would once again answer in concrete numbers and figures.
Sure.
But yeah, you are exactly right. But even Muammar Gaddafi, who is the person of scandal, ongoing scandal in France, French Republic, was also interested in, let's say, politely and politically correct, invest in that region.
Yeah, and this interest continues, and I'm sure in the future the Black Earth will play a very important role in the integration of Ukraine. And whatever happens to Ukraine, I mean, the Black Earth is terribly important, I think. My other question relates to the Black Sea itself. It might be interesting to also show a map of the Black Sea area itself, and especially the corridor through the territorial waters of Romania and Bulgaria and Turkey that is being used for exporting the products of the Black Earth, because there's a continuing export of agricultural products and also of fertilizers, I understand, internationally. And this is very important for not only for Ukraine, but also for the recipient countries, because they depend on the fertilizers. So do you have more information on that?
No, sadly, no. I was not preparing for this
never
kind.
Never mind. Yeah. It's just following the negotiations. I understand that after the high sea was practically close to commercial profit, the territorial seas along the border are being used for that purpose, and this is ongoing. I mean, as of now, the Russians are not attacking ships that go through territorial waters of, in first instance, Romania, and second instance, Bulgaria, and later on Turkey. So this is a lifeline, if you want, for Ukraine.
Yeah, you are completely right. You are completely right on that. Thank you for raising this question. Yeah, I hope that it will be, like the fruitful basis for future discussions. Yeah.
And conflict, because as you rightly pointed out, Poland doesn't like this, because it's a competitor for Poland. Ukraine can produce more cheaply because of the quantity of and the fantastic quality of the Black Earth, and also, I suppose, labor is cheaper. So, and if I might add, from the research that I have done, the relationship with Ukraine and Poland is a very complex one, an ambivalent one, for various historic reasons, but also for reasons of the looming competition between Polish agriculture and Ukraine.
Yeah, once again, I will, agree on your notion that it's complicated, especially relations between countries who are neighboring countries and who had the history of relations. Any relation has its ups and downs, its conflicts, and the time of prosperity and cooperation. And we can emphasize on the conflictual parts, or we can turn once again the history on our side and flourish and remember when we were cooperating. As one of my teachers told that, according to his observation, the whole history of humankind is divided into two periods: war and trade, war and trade, war and trade. So they are changing one another every time. And yeah, I hope that our politicians, but I try to let's say not manifest anything. I try to just generally get a big picture of the administrative system of Ukraine within the European integration. So yeah, we will count on our politicians and diplomats on their consciousness and wisdom.
In Thursday's lecture, I think Thursday is the second lecture, are you going to touch upon other issues about the history of Ukraine, for instance? And
if you want some sort of teaser, I can share.
Good.
On Thursday it will be the overlook of Ukrainian history. More in a little bit more, not on a little bit, but more details on European integration processes and the contemporary situation in Ukraine regarding European integration. So, yeah.
But isn't history very important? I mean, this is perhaps my hobby horse, yes, but I mean, parts of Ukraine have been part of Poland and Austria-Hungary, and it's a very, very complex history and a bloody history on both sides. And I'm sure that plays a large role. Indeed, I know that it plays a very large role even in contemporary history and the attitudes of neighboring states. So, okay, so we're going to go into that. Fine, thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
I'm sorry for dominating, but I said at the beginning, I did publish on this and I did explore this in the relationship also to European integration, which is really my field. And so this is why I'm raising my voice.
It's always better to exchange ideas. And if you have any factual materials that you would like to share, so please feel free to contribute, because I'll try to make it without interruption of the signal. But we have here also the audience sitting here, of students. They are also listening not only to me, but also for every other participant of this event online as well. They can see you. All right. Yeah, you would like to ask a question? I was thinking that you were started raising the hand. Okay. Anybody else? I see.
Next one question.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for interesting lecture, and I want to ask you one question. What do you think? What key reforms are currently having the greatest impact on Ukraine's path towards the European Union? Key reforms, maybe.
Yeah, those reforms which were already made, or theoretical reforms that should be made?
Should be made, I think. What do you think? What reforms should do our government, maybe?
Thank you very much for this, let's say, existential question of Ukraine.
I just want to hear your thoughts about it.
Okay, I need a couple of seconds to formulate the answer, to think over. I will start from, answering your question. I will start from the positive, constructive part of it. I can say that the digitalization and the level of digitalization and introduction of digitalization into the state, regional governance, into the access of common people, like of every citizen to the services of the different kind of administratives that are available for Ukrainians. This is something extraordinary that inspires highly developed European countries. And I can say that the level of digitalization and the consequences that it can bring and create is the lack or the absence of the corruption, is when the person who is using these digital services or using the services via digital application, for example, DIA, so people, they are not obliged to go through the bureaucracy which creates corruption. So these administrative services, they are done, let's say, automatically and without any sort of complex acting. So this is my answer to you, that we should continue with the elimination of corruption.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the reforms in eliminating the corruption in Ukraine.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for joining. And I guess, let me see the messages. I see a couple of messages. Thank you as well. Thank you very much for joining. And this is it for today. For those who are interested, let's see each other on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ivan. And we are looking forward to see your next lesson as it has been announced. So big thanks to you, and enjoy your stay in Bratislava. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maros.